The film begins outside the castle, where workers and animals are building a long road. One animal, exhausted from pulling a heavy machine, collapses to the ground. A soldier brutally forces it back to work. Suddenly, a strange force is felt from the sky. The soldier also senses this strange presence. In an instant, the mysterious entity appears and frees all the animals from their chains. It is none other than Elphaba. Elphaba attacks the guards one by one, knocking them all to the ground. Just then, she spots a group of soldiers approaching. Sensing danger, she mounts her magical broomstick and disappears. News of her presence spreads like wildfire throughout Oz. Warnings are issued everywhere, and people live in fear of her next attack. Elphaba now lives in seclusion, hoping to convince people that she isn't evil. She wants to convince them that all the accusations and lies spread about her by the Wizard of Oz are false. One day, while looking up at the sky, she remembers Glinda, who has now become a favorite of the people of Oz and is loved by the courageous and popular Prince Fiyero. Meanwhile, Madame Morrible is waiting for Glinda. She warns her about the chaos Elphaba is causing, and says that only Glinda can solve this problem for the troubled people. Madame Morrible hands Glinda a new means of travel, a magic bubble. Upon seeing it, Glinda is filled with excitement and begins pressing its button repeatedly. Madame Morrible is annoyed by her childish behavior. She explains to Glinda that the bubble's mechanical strength will compensate for her inability to stay afloat, and she should let people believe that she herself is keeping it afloat with her own magic. Madame Morrible also gives her a magic wand and says she'll meet her at the opening ceremony. Glinda's mind wanders back to the past. She remembers her childhood, when she first received a magic wand as a gift for her birthday. Little Glinda tried her best to use it to perform real magic, but failed every time. Although the other children believed that the rainbow in the sky was created by her magic, Glinda knew it wasn't her magic. The thought of this deeply saddened her. Her heart broke and she cried, saying that she truly wanted to be magical, not just for show. Just then, her mother sat her down and lovingly consoled her. She said that people love her just the way she is, and that's what's most important to her. These words of her mother's remain deeply embedded in the little girl's heart. Remembering those words, Glinda gathers herself and continues on. Some time later, she arrives at the opening ceremony in her magical bubble. The people there applaud her even more. Glinda announces to everyone that the yellow brick road has now been fully opened. The people of Oz begin to celebrate. They feel free from the wizard's influence. Overjoyed, they sing with Glinda, and the entire town erupts in celebration. Just then, Madame Morrible announces that Fiyero has been appointed the new captain of Gale Force, and his task will be to capture the Wicked Witch. Fiyero is stunned to hear this. He realizes that he is also being considered linked to Glinda in the public eye. Meanwhile, rumors begin to spread that the Wicked Witch has an extra eye, and that her soul is evil, which can be destroyed with holy water. Hearing this, Fiyero becomes enraged. He tells Glinda that he doesn't like this at all and wants to leave. But Glinda reminds him that people are watching them. Fiyero replies that he can't resist compliments and praise. He says he wants to find Elphaba before anyone else. Glinda tries to stop him, saying she doesn't want him to go because she has already made her decision. Hearing this, Fiyero decides to stay with Glinda. He kisses her and then leaves the ceremony. As Fiyero leaves, Glinda becomes sad. She sings a song in which she says that people are happy only when their dreams come true. After the song, she greets the people of Oz. Just then, the wizard arrives and says that he is being falsely accused. But Madame Morrible refutes his words and claims to the crowd that Elphaba has come to kill Glinda. The Gale Force is then sent after Elphaba, along with the winged monkeys. They pursue the Wicked Witch into the forest, but Elphaba distracts the winged monkeys with her trickery and hides in the dense forest. Captain Fiyero and his soldiers advance into the forest, searching for Elphaba but finding her nowhere. The captain orders the soldiers to retreat. She is convinced that Elphaba is not there. Everyone returns while Elphaba, hidden behind the trees, watches everything. Elphaba knew the captain had seen her, yet deliberately ignored her. At that very moment, she remembers the old days spent with Glinda and Fiyero. Meanwhile, Elphaba also learns that Nessarose has been appointed the new ruler, governor. Upon assuming power, Nessarose enacts an anti-animal minority law. Almost every region in Oz has signed this law, except Munchkinland. The other rulers await her decision. Bok persuades Nessarose not to sign the law, but Nessarose refuses. She says Bok has stood by her through everything, and she is grateful for that. Bok replies that she should move on now. Upon hearing this, Nessarose orders him to leave immediately. Sometime later, as Bok is about to leave to catch his train, a policeman stops him. He demands a permit, as a new law now requires permission to travel to Munchkinland. Not only Bok, but many others are also being taken off the train without permits. Meanwhile, Elphaba, wandering in the forest, hears the sounds of chaos all around. Frightened, all the animals are fleeing Oz because of the winged monkeys. Elphaba tries to stop them. She pleads with them not to leave Oz and to stand with her. Meanwhile, she meets Dr. Dillamond again. He tells her that they have no other option but to leave Oz. Elphaba says that outside Oz there is only desolation and emptiness, nothing there. But Dr. Dillamond laments that as long as Elphaba is alive, no one in Oz will be able to live in peace. They ask her why she wants to stay. Elphaba replies that Oz is her home. She has made a promise here, she has a vision, a purpose. She truly wants to make Oz home, because there is nothing better than home. Elphaba tells the animals that if they give up and leave Oz, they will never find anything like it again. She urges them to stand with her and fight. Just then, a lion appears and reveals the truth. He reveals that Elphaba was the one who created the magic that gave the winged monkeys the power to fly. Elphaba admits this, but says she was deceived. Had she known the truth, she would never have cast such a spell. Hearing this, the animals feel betrayed. Disappointed, they leave through a tunnel. The winged monkeys silently watch them go. Meanwhile, Bok is angry with Nessarose for having to stay there. He continues quietly with his work. Then he notices a paper announcing Glinda's engagement. After reading it, he leaves. Meanwhile, Elphaba approaches Nessarose and says she needs her help. Hearing this, Nessarose becomes furious. She complains that Elphaba never once tried to visit her after her father's death. That day, Elphaba felt a deep sense of unburdening in her heart. She told Nessarose that her father hated her and always considered her a burden. This was the reason why a deep pain had been gnawing inside her. Elphaba said that now that Nessarose was the ruler of Oz, perhaps she could help her. But then Nessarose also asked Elphaba for help. The yearning was clear in her voice. She said that she wanted to return to the days when Bok had told her she was beautiful at school, when his words had made her feel good. Nessarose said she wants to relive that feeling, that closeness, that longing. Suddenly, the magic book opened by itself. The pages flipped rapidly. Elphaba understood the signal and cast a spell. The spell took effect. Nessarose's body slowly rose above the ground. She floated in the air, her face beaming with joy. She felt as if her dream was coming true. At that very moment, Bok arrived. He was shocked to see Elphaba standing before him. His voice was filled with panic. He said that he had to go to Glinda immediately to confess his feelings, because if he delayed, everything would be lost. Nessarose's expression fell apart at Bok's words. Happiness turned to anger in an instant. Bok told her harshly that she was wronging him. He said that forcibly holding her close was evil, and that was why she had truly become evil. Obsessed with Bok, Nessarose lost her senses. She hurriedly began to conjure a spell that would win Bok's heart. But her eyes misread the words. The spell backfired. The spell's error caused havoc. Bok's heart began to shrink. He gasped for breath and he collapsed. Elphaba sternly told Nessarose to leave, so she could find a way to reverse the spell. Nessarose was forced to step aside. She sat quietly and prayed for Bok, fear, guilt, and hope surging in her heart. Some time later, Elphaba returned. She announced that Bok was safe. His life was saved. But then she revealed another truth. Bok would no longer need her heart. With that, Elphaba left. Her next target was the wizard, whom she could no longer find. As Elphaba left, the doors suddenly slammed open. With a crash, Bok appeared, but he wasn't the same as before. His body had turned to metal. When he saw himself in the mirror, his eyes filled with fire. He trembled with rage. He screamed at Nessarose, blaming her for bringing him to this state. Nessarose tried to defend herself. In a trembling voice, she said it was all because of Elphaba she had cast the spell. But her words failed to calm Boke's anger. Meanwhile, Elphaba had set out to find Glinda. The entire town was immersed in preparations for a grand wedding. There were decorations, lights, and excitement everywhere. Suddenly, a mirror cracked. Glinda heard the sound and stepped forward. Beyond the mirror, she realized, there stood Elphaba. Glinda immediately let her in. As soon as she entered, Elphaba said she had to meet the wizard right now. Right now, Glinda assured him she could reason with the wizard. Talk to him, but Elphaba said nothing. In an instant, she vanished. The next moment, Elphaba was standing before the wizard, and Glinda followed. Elphaba stood before the wizard and made a clear demand. She demanded that he tell all the people of Oz the truth, that he possessed no real power, and that he couldn't even read the grimoire. Elphaba's voice held the pain of broken trust. She said that she had thought him to be the great and wonderful wizard of Oz, and today, with that illusion shattered, she could never return to her life as before. The wizard replied with a cold smile. He said that people wouldn't believe him. They would keep listening to him because that's what they like to hear. He readily admitted that he loved the praise, the people's love and respect, all of this, and he didn't want to give it up. Then he offered Elphaba to come with him. He said that if she stood with him, people would trust him again. Her name would be spoken with respect again. Glinda also added, saying that if Elphaba joined them, there would be no battle they couldn't win. The atmosphere changed for a moment. Smiles appeared on all three of their faces, and they were filled with joy. It was as if the world had become lighter in that tense moment. But then Elphaba realized something. Her smile froze. In a calm but firm voice, she said that she could accept this offer only on one condition. He said if they want to prove themselves, they must stop blaming the animals. They must return them to Oz with respect. And most importantly, they must free the winged monkeys. The wizard accepted Elphaba's condition. Hearing this, Glinda felt genuine joy. She felt that perhaps things could really improve. The wizard handed Elphaba a key. She used it to open a door behind which the winged monkeys were imprisoned. As Kist flew down, Elphaba's eyes filled with tears. He apologized for his actions and said that they were now free. They could fly wherever they wanted, however they wanted. As soon as the wizard left, Kist returned. He showed Elphaba a hidden door. As the door opened, Elphaba was stunned. Thousands of monkeys were imprisoned behind it. On the other hand, Glinda was slowly making her way to her wedding. Every step felt heavy. Elphaba moved forward and reached a vast chamber where hundreds of animals were locked in cages. Just then, the wizard arrived and nonchalantly declared that some animals were irreversible. Elphaba's blood boiled at this. At that moment, amidst the wedding rituals, Fiyero sensed something was wrong, as if an unseen storm was approaching Oz. Furious, Elphaba unlocked all the cages one by one. The animals were freed, terrified. The wizard fled for his life. The next moment, the animals stormed the wedding party. There was chaos everywhere. People ran everywhere. Screams, panic, and fear. The entire palace was plunged into chaos. The wizard tried to escape, but then Elphaba stood before him with a broom, blocking his path, steadfast, angry, and fully prepared. Fiyero arrived and pointed a gun at Elphaba. For a moment, the situation froze, but the next moment, he returned Elphaba's broomstick to her, turned around, and pointed the gun at the wizard. Without hesitation, he locked the wizard in a cage. Just then, Glinda arrived. She saw Fiyero threatening the wizard and froze. Fiyero, in a calm but firm voice, declared that he was leaving with Elphaba. Both were shocked to hear this. Glinda misunderstood this. She thought Elphaba and Fiyero were in a relationship. In her heartbreak, she simply told them to leave. Morrible arrived after the commotion. Glinda then suggested a plan. Spread a rumor in Nessaros's name that she was in danger, so that Elphaba would come to her aid and she could be captured. Meanwhile, Fiyero and Elphaba arrived at her hideout. Elphaba couldn't believe she was finally standing in the moment she'd always dreamed of. Fiyero looked at her and said she was beautiful, that he had fallen in love with her, and that he too had been waiting for this moment, without any concern for the future. The two of them floated in the air, holding each other. At that very moment they kissed. But at that very moment, Morrible cast a terrible spell. The entire city was thrown into chaos. Thunder rumbled around the castle, creating a devastating whirlwind. Nessarose was searching for Boke when the whirlwind began heading towards her. Elphaba heard her screams. She saw the tornado heading towards Nessarose, destroying homes along the way. Her heart sank. She told Fiyero that she had to go save her. Before leaving, Fiyero said he would always be with her, no matter what. Elphaba rode her broomstick and flew towards Nessarose. On the way, Fiyero encountered winged monkeys. The next day, Glinda arrived at the spot where a house had fallen on Nessarose. Elphaba also arrived to mourn her sister. Her voice trembled, but her words were fiery. She accused Glinda of giving Nessarose's shoes to a girl who didn't deserve them. Glinda retorted, saying that Elphaba had also taken things that never belonged to her. Hearing this, Elphaba's patience broke. She bitterly declared that Fiyero never loved Glinda. She was his now. These words shocked Glinda. In a fit of rage, she slapped Elphaba. The next moment, Elphaba slapped her back. A scuffle broke out between the two. Suddenly, the soldiers arrived. At that moment, Elphaba realized it was all a trap set by Glinda. The soldiers captured Elphaba. Just then, Fiyero arrived with the winged monkeys. He warned the soldiers. If they didn't release Elphaba, he would kill Glinda. Meanwhile, they reached Elphaba. Fiyero looked at her and told her to go alone. Elphaba rode off on her broomstick, and the winged monkeys flew behind her to protect her. A little while later, when Fiyero surrendered, the soldiers captured him. Elphaba arrived at the castle with the monkeys. There, she tried to recite a spell to save Fiyero from suffering and death, but she couldn't understand the words of the grimoire. As she chanted, visions flashed before her eyes. Little Nessarose, Dr. Dillamant, and Fiyero chained to a pillar. Filled with anger and anguish, Elphaba unleashed her immense power. She created an entire army of winged monkeys and instantly vowed never to do any good again. Furious at Fiyero's death, Morrible declared that they could now use the girl, the lion, and the boke. The wizard ordered that the witch be captured, dead or alive, at any cost. The crowd gathered. The crowd was incited. They were told that the witch was a demon, one who had turned a man into a silver box and possessed an innocent, frightened lion cub. And amidst this hatred and fear, the fire of war against Elphaba was ignited in Oz. Glinda watched all this, silently, breaking down inside. Finally, she reached Morrible. She told him to stop and asked him directly, was the tornado that struck Nessarose really just an accident? Morrible's face hesitated for a moment. Then the truth came out. He admitted that he had created the tornado. In a cold voice, he told Glinda to keep smiling and remain silent. But Glinda was no longer the same. She gave up her crown. She took off her magnificent robes, and without a fuss, she rode off on horseback. Meanwhile, the entire town was rallying against the witch. Hatred, frightened faces, and angry voices. Only one name echoed everywhere. Elphaba ordered the winged monkeys to find Dorothy and bring back her sister's shoes. The monkeys kidnapped Dorothy. Meanwhile, Glinda approached Elphaba and warned her that they were all coming after her. Elphaba calmly said that Fiyero was no more, and now she had made up her mind to turn herself in. She told Glinda to leave. She promised that she would never try to clear her name, because people need someone they can call evil. She said that she wanted to protect Glinda. She wanted Glinda to live, and do everything Elphaba could never do. Elphaba handed the grimoire to Glinda. She said that the book now belonged to her, so that she could learn, change, and make Oz a better place. With a heavy heart, she said that Glinda had been her only true friend. Tears welled up in Glinda's eyes. She said that everything she was today was because of Elphaba. Knowing her, being with her, changed her life forever. And in that very moment, without any proclamations, friendship changed that world, forever for the good. Elphaba softly apologized to Glinda for the false accusations she had uttered in anger and pain. Glinda said nothing. She simply stepped forward, and they hugged each other tightly. It was their last time together. Amid tears, without any promises, Elphaba hid Glinda in a room. Each passing moment was heavy. They both cried until it was time to part ways. Hiding, Glinda wished Dorothy would come to throw water on Elphaba, so everyone would think Elphaba had melted. That's what happened. Dorothy poured water. Elphaba fell. Her broom was taken away, and Dorothy left. Glinda watched silently. Only Elphaba's hat remained behind. Christ came to Glinda and gave her a vial. It belonged to Elphaba, her mother. Glinda took the vial to the wizard, and told him it was a memento of Elphaba's mother. The wizard froze. He remembered that dance, that woman, that past life. He recognized the vial. At that very moment he realized Elphaba was his daughter. Glinda told him to leave Oz, and this time permanently. Then she reached Morrible and showed him that the wizard was gone. His power was gone. The winged monkeys took Morrible away. Some time later, Glinda burned the witch's statue in front of the people, just as Elphaba had wanted. As she was leaving, a little girl asked her, was she really Elphaba's friend? Glinda accepted without hesitation. She told the people of Oz, both animals and humans, that they were all friends. And if they would let her, she wanted to help change the world. The animals were welcomed back with respect. Oz breathed again. The city blossomed again. Meanwhile, Fiyero went to the place where everyone believed Elphaba had died. But there he found her alive, hidden, smiling. She looked at Fiyero. He was changed. She said he looked good and was happy to learn he survived. The two left Oz without a fuss. Elphaba left her hat behind. They continued toward the desert beyond Oz. And far away on a high rooftop stood Glinda holding the grimoire. The story ended, but the impact remained forever. For good. Subscribe to the channel to hear emotional stories from full-length films like this one.